12 drivers, 10 races, 1 champion.
2 races to go in the chase, and this championship is very much up for grabs. Martin on the move. Mark Martin getting better and better each and every lap.
You can see how hard Jimmie Johnson is driving the car. He's getting aggressive.
Jimmie Johnson getting closer and closer to going to Homestead and making NASCAR history.
Yes, 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 yes! Save me some of that champagne, boys.
The chase continues.
We are in the home stretch of the 2009 season here at Homestead-Miami Speedway, and it has all come down to this. 2 drivers, 1 race, 1 championship. Here are the cars and the drivers that could make NASCAR history on Sunday. One hoping to become the oldest driver to win the championship at NASCAR's Elite Cup level. The other hoping to become the first driver to win 4 consecutive Sprint Cup titles. The points differential following Jimmy's impressive performance at Phoenix, 108 points between Jimmie and Mark. But could there be trouble brewing? Take a look at where they practiced in the session prior to qualifying. Oh my, Jimmie Johnson back in 21st overall. Now, why is that important? Well, folks, think back to what happened 2 weeks ago at Texas Motor Speedway. Troubles for the champion. Lap 3, turn 2, he had qualified poorly. Trying to be aggressive on the outside. There's the contact. And suddenly, Superman is sideways, careening across the racetrack to slam the concrete. He would go to the garage area and finish 38th, losing 111 points. If he were to lose 111 points here on Sunday, he would not leave here as the champion. For Jimmie Johnson to win his 4th consecutive title on Sunday, he simply needs to finish 25th or better. No matter what anyone else does, he'll become the champ. Let's go down to Vince Welch.
Well, Doc, as you said, it is Jimmie Johnson's championship to lose. You noted that 108-point advantage. That is the 2nd largest advantage ever heading to the final chase race. But this has not been one of Jimmie Johnson's better tracks historically. His average finish here is 13.6. And it's also one of a half a dozen tracks in which he has yet to conquer with victory. And if today's practice is any indicator, well, Jimmie and his crew chief, Chad Knaus, have not found the sweet spot with this car yet. Jimmie was 21st on the speed chart. Jamie Little?
And the man chasing Jimmie Johnson has been struggling a bit in their first practice today as well. Mark Martin and Jimmie Johnson were talking a lot during first practice, seeing if they were feeling the same sensations. Mark Martin's problem was he was most comfortable running the low line. Well, anybody that's won here knows that that high line is the fastest way around. The plan for qualifying right now for Mark Martin, he's going to go out and on that warm-up lap, he's going to run the high line, see how he feels. At that moment, he will decide whether he'll run the top or the bottom to turn the fastest lap. He was 14th on the board, Doc. He needs to get a little bit better.
Thank you very much, Jamie. Indeed, they will. We're going to be watching it all here. Hello, everyone. Along with Dale Jarrett and Andy Petrie, I'm Jerry Punch. Glad to have you with us for live coverage of qualifying. Now, Jimmie Johnson has made no bones about it, guys. He said it's 3 days, 3 separate battles. Day 1, it's qualifying. Day 2, it's happy hour. And day 3, championship day, it's the race. Why is it, Jimmie says, they really, really need to qualify up front here today?
We just showed it right there 2 weeks ago. He just qualified outside the top 10 and 12th, but yet he got into an accident on the 3rd lap. Now, there are no guarantees wherever you may qualify, but it would make these guys rest a lot easier if they can have a good afternoon here, get themselves in a position to where they kind of control things at the start of this race.
Yeah, and it doesn't pay any points for qualifying, but it does pay 5 bonus points for leading the race. And if they can qualify up in the first 4 or 5 spots, they'll have a shot at doing that early. And the other thing is nothing's really going to keep Jimmie from winning this championship other than a catastrophe or a disaster of some kind. And that's the best way to avoid that is to be up front. They want to qualify good today.
Now, if Jimmie qualifies where he practiced, say, 21st or so, how much sleep do Chad Knaus and Jimmie Johnson get between now and Sunday?
They're not going to sleep at all, are they?
No, they're not. But those kind of things, if they qualify in the mid-20s, Chad's going to lay awake at night thinking of every scenario that can get them in trouble, and it's not going to be fun. So they really have a lot of motivation to get that car qualified in the top 10 at least today.
Yeah, it's just of utmost importance to get this weekend started off on a good foot to where they're not really scrambling tomorrow. This is the first stage, just like they said. They have to do this. And if thing that's big for these guys is everybody talks about all they have to do is finish 25th. These guys don't know how to finish 25th. They never come to a racetrack saying, hey, we just want to finish in the top 25. They come to win the race, so they're not geared up for that. But today's important to them.
It is very important for everyone, but particularly this guy right here in the 48 car. Qualifying is coming up next. That is step one in the weekend of pursuits for Jimmie Johnson if he is to make that championship ride.
This ain't no rodeo, no dog and pony show, ain't no roller coaster ride, ain't no highway, sure ain't no river, baby, it's just my so-called, just my championship ride.
We have a huge weekend of motorsports coverage coming your way from Homestead-Miami Speedway. Live coverage of Happy Hour. Final practice tomorrow at 3 o'clock Eastern Time for the NASCAR Sprint Cup Series. And how about setting the stage coming up on Sunday? Sports Center, presented by AutoZone, here at the NASCAR Sprint Cup Championship Sunday, 1 o'clock Eastern Time. Now, that is on ESPN, which will have continuing coverage as we set the stage for Countdown and the race here, the Ford 400 at Homestead-Miami at 2:30 Eastern Time on ABC. How about crowning a NASCAR Nationwide Series champion? We will do that tomorrow, 4 o'clock Eastern Time. And Kyle Busch just needs to roll off and take the green flag to become NASCAR's newest nationwide champ. And we will set the stage and wrap up the entire championship weekend, 10 a.m. and 10 p.m. with NASCAR Now on ESPN2. Getting set to qualify. Let's go down and visit with Mark Martin. Here's Jamie.
Talk about championships. This man's still in the hunt for that. Talked to Alan Gustafson, your crew chief, just a little while ago, and he talked about how you were so comfortable running that low line. What do you need to do to get comfortable to run up high?
I need practice tomorrow. Well, you know, I don't think it'll be any problem. I just realized after practice was over with, I haven't run the COT car here. I didn't race here last year, and the year before in '07 with the old car, I was still able to make the bottom work for me, and I just don't know about qualifying. You know, I don't know exactly where to run. Didn't really get all that comfortable. Kind of maxed the car out down at the bottom of the racetrack. Wasn't good enough there. Kind of looked around some, and you know, hour and a half of practice tomorrow. We'll get ready for the race, but you know, we'll just give our best give it our best for this lap.
Certainly a lot on your plate. All this hype about the championship. It's finally here, the last weekend. What is this like for you, Mark, being back in this position?
It's a real, it's an honor, and you know, it's just a little bit unexpected, to be real honest with you. It takes a lot to be sitting where we're sitting, and we did it together, and we worked fairly hard. But if you would have told me before the season that we could achieve what we have this year, I would have looked at you cross-eyed. So I'm just lucky to be doing this.
And you guys have been doing it as an organization, working closely with the 48 team this weekend, and our first car is on the track, Doc.
Thank you, Jamie. I think that sums it up. Mark's a little bit overwhelmed by what this team has been able to accomplish here in 2009.
Yeah, I saw him earlier today, right before practice started. He was sitting in that car grinning ear to ear. He was just having a great time. And as he said, very appreciative of the opportunity he has here.
Here's a driver that's been smiling since we announced the 12 drivers who made the chase at Richmond. Brian Vickers. No, he hasn't been a factor in the chase, and he hasn't even had a top 10 finish in the 9 chase races. But the fact that this team, given where they were a year ago, made the chase, pretty impressive.
This has been the kind of racetrack they've been really good at, too. These 1.5 mile, 2 mile racetracks have been kind of their specialty. One thing we're seeing right here, right off the bat, is how high these cars are running on the racetrack. This track has given up a lot of grip over the years, and in the bottom groove especially. So you see the cars moving up, trying to find grip and banking to make the car go around the racetrack.
I think that's the key, Andy.
Whoa.
You just said he'd see him really loose off of turn 4. But the key is getting the most banking. This is a progressive banking, and it's banked the most up on the top of the racetrack, and that's what the guys are leaning on right now.
You can hear Mark Martin very undecided about where he really wanted to run. I mean, even in this qualifying lap, I don't think he's really totally decided where he's going to run.
31.69 for Brian Vickers, just the one lap. That is slower than what he had run in practice. He had run a 31.55, so got to believe that'll put him somewhere in the mid-20s of the 43-car starting field on Sunday.
Yeah, not unexpected because this racetrack's only gotten hotter since they practiced. That was earlier in the day. Plus, there's been a nationwide practice out there, so the racetrack has changed quite a bit. And being that first car out is never a good thing. I don't care where you're
I think
at.
for sure today that's going to hurt. I think the later cars are going to have an advantage as this track cools down.
You saw a moment ago in that graphic, David Reagan has qualified well here in the past. Started qualified 6th here a year ago, qualified 7th back in 2007. In fact, logged a top 10 finish here back a couple of years ago. Let's see what he can do in his Ford. And by the way, he has the brand new Ford engine. This will be the first time that Ford has run the new configuration engine in an open scenario, the new Ford FR9.
Yeah, this is a big opportunity for Ford to get some laps on that engine so they can go back in the offseason and make some educated decisions on how they further that development.
Yeah, and Jack Roush told me a couple of weeks ago that it would probably be up into the middle of next year before all the guys were running this engine. They still had some development they're working on with it, parts and pieces inside that engine.
And coming by, it'll be Reagan, a little slower than Vickers, a 31.93 for David, first time by.
Yeah, these guys struggled in the practice session that we had. They were only 41st on the chart during that.
You can see this second lap, the tires are really giving up grip on that second lap. This track really does kind of chew the tires up, even just in just a few laps.
See Jimmy Finnig in the picture, longtime crew chief. Word is Jimmy may become an R&D crew chief in next year, and they may have someone else move in with David Reagan. 2 cars have gone. Right now it's Vickers atop the charts. Continuing with NASCAR Sprint Cup Series qualifying here at Homestead-Miami Speedway. Here's the 11 car of Denny Hamlin, and if there is a hard luck driver in the chase, it is this guy. 3 DNFs in the last 6 races. The other 2, or in the last 5 races, the other 2 were a 1st and 2nd place finish at Martinsville and Texas.
They certainly had the performance to be contenders, but that bad luck really has cost them a ton. And but boy, when they've been on, they've been on.
They sure have. You know, there's only one other guy that's got more top 5s than they do in this chase. That's Jimmy Johnson. But there's 3 DNFs. You have to eliminate that if you're going to be a contender for the championship this day and time.
Denny has 2 top 5s here at Homestead-Miami Speedway. Watch him coming back up into the green, coming out of 4. And if he can hold on, whoops, losing some time coming to the stripe.
You can see the different line that he ran. He was on the very bottom of the racetrack down there in 3 and 4. That bought him some good time for a little while, but he paid the price on the exit.
Yeah, you can see he does actually gain time in the corners by running that low line, but just using that momentum from the top side of the racetrack, you can see how the straightaway times are so much slower.
You heard Mark Martin talking about which line he may or may not go. Is it driver preference? Is it set up? I mean, there is progressive banking here. How do you choose?
Yeah, it's more driver preference that you set your car up kind of to where you want to run around here. But what we've seen is a lot of the guys that were fast in that practice session were running around the top side of the racetrack. So that starts making you think, okay, is that where I need to be up there where that most banking is?
All right, he slows down. You see Hamlin held on to that 2nd spot. Let's talk to the guy right now atop the charts, Vince.
Well, DJ indicated that it's an unenviable position to be the first guy out. You were the first one out. How was the racetrack?
Just like you said, you don't want to be the first one out. Honestly, the track's lost some grip. I was expecting the sun going down, maybe you lose some temp, gain some grip. But the temperature, the track temp was about the same when we checked it. And I think the nationwide rubber took a little bit of grip away. The track seemed really slick to me, and I felt like our car was better.
As you said, Doc, what an accomplishment for this 83 team to be in the chase this year. Certainly hasn't worked out the way they'd like, but an accomplishment just the same.
No doubt about it. They've won a race and 6 poles. Here's Dale Earnhardt Jr. We talk about the team that has gotten better and better performance-wise. The finishes may not show it, but I got to believe this team, this whole team's excited about the way they have run during the body of the races recently.
Yeah, they were top 10 in practice, so this is going to be a good indication of the racetrack and where it is. You can see still tracking very close to where Brian Vickers was in his run. It's like he might come up just a tick. Well, he might get him. He did. He got him by just a few thousandths of a second.
Wow.
Quickest time thus far in qualifying, a 31.68. And he will shut her down because right now he's atop the speed charts. Let's go down and visit with Kurt Busch. Jamie.
Well, Kurt Busch was fastest in the first practice. He brought back the old race winner from Texas Patriot. How good is she here?
She's feeling pretty good. We got a good lap in practice, and I don't know, I've just been fishing with the guys all week, so maybe we'll go fishing right now and see if we can't get a pole.
All right, his last outing with his crew chief, Pat Trice, and they're going to try to make it a good one and come home with the victory.
Jamie, he's the only two-time pole sitter here at Homestead-Miami Speedway. There have been 9 different drivers win a pole, and he's the only one that's gotten more than one and has won one of 2 drivers to win from the pole. Here's his teammate.
Whoa now.
Brad Keselowski held on to that Dodge somehow.
A little out of control coming to the green.
Well, you know, coming to the green, you're probably, Andy, as you pointed out, only going to get 1 lap with good tires right here as far as maximum grip. So you want to really get through turns 3 and 4. It looks like Brad was.
He gets off the corner good now on the back straightaway. You can see he's tracking under the green. Got to be thinking about that last time through here, though.
That's right, and you buzz those tires, you only heat that right rear up. So he made it good through 1 and 2. Looking good here.
Again, Brad making the double-duty weekend here, running the Chevy for Junior Motorsports the final time here on Saturday. And now
he knocks his boss in the Nationwide Series off the pole.
So that's,
he's kicking up some dirt there.
That sideways lap was a quick one.
I'd say that getting sideways coming to get to green may have done him a little good. He might have eased around there a little bit more and got a fast lap in.
Well, he's up on that steering wheel, though.
Yeah, and that's what it's going to take here this afternoon. Whoever gets the pole, we're going to see that happening. They're going to have to really drive these things.
Only 3rd time in the Penske Dodge for Brad Keselowski. And right now, guys, he is the quickest of the 5 cars that have gone out.
Look at him saw this steering wheel.
Oh, it's great when they wear these white gloves and we can watch all the work. Wow, what a save. And that was the fastest lap. He's on the pole so far.
Qualifying continuing, and here's Juan Pablo Montoya on the track at Homestead. Now, what a surprise. Montoya has already made it exciting today. In practice, guys, he had a little bit of an issue.
Yeah, he had almost the same thing we saw earlier with Keselowski, except he just took it a little bit farther.
Yeah, he spun out coming out of turn 4 earlier today. Didn't hit anything. That's hard to do in itself.
And then came back out a lap later and turned the 2nd fastest lap of the day.
Yeah, the very next lap. That's a pretty good recovery after you spin the car on a 1.5-mile racetrack and go back out there and do that. Pretty impressive.
Yeah, that was always good for me for a couple of tenths the wrong way whenever I spun out and had to come back and try to go fast. He's getting close here.
You got it.
How about that for Juan Pablo Montoya, who lives here in Miami? 31.599. And is he going to run a 2nd lap?
Yeah, he knows he needs to be faster than that. He ran quite a bit faster in practice than that lap, so I'm sure he's going to try to pick it up. And he's in the green now so far down the backstretch.
Yeah, he ran 31.18 in that first practice session.
Yeah, we heard Brian Vickers say the track has lost grip, but we really think that lap time is going to have to be close to that 31.10.20 second bracket.
Well, he's quicker this time by, but is he 4/10 quicker like he was in practice? He ran a 54, so only 500s faster, but it was faster in that 2nd lap. Let's go down and visit with Denny Hamlin. Vince.
Well, Denny celebrated his 29th birthday on Wednesday, but didn't look very happy getting out of the car, shaking your head. Tell us about that run.
Well, I had my hands full for sure with our FedEx Camry. It was, today we really haven't had a whole lot of speed in our race car, even when the balance was, fairly close. So, we've had a lot of days like that, and come Sunday, well, I'm sure we're going to be towards the front where we should be.
Trying to figure it out. Denny Hamlin while Mark Martin is out on the track. Doc?
Boy, you look, these guys hanging on out there. So 6 cars have gone out. Now we're going to see what Mark Martin can do. He talked about not really knowing which line he was going to run. We told you in practice, Martin was 14th on the speed charts. He ran a 31.46 in practice.
Yeah, Mark's generally kind of that bottom feeder, but he's up taking the middle road here.
Yeah.
Not the bottom or not the top.
Can't quite make his mind up, but he's going to just split the middle here.
No one has won more poles this year than Mark Martin, a 7-time pole sitter. The last time he won a pole, the 1.5-mile racetrack at Kansas. And he is on it here coming out of 4. Can he hang on? Look at that speed coming out of that 5 car.
Man, he got back to the gas hard there, didn't he?
He picked the right line for sure.
Mark says, take that, Jimmy Johnson. 31.331. And right now, Mark Martin is the man to beat.
I'm going to shut it down, just run 1 lap.
Pretty good no matter what, right? Yeah, buddy, that's first. 33, that's first. 56 over 42. Nice job.
So in order for Mark Martin to win the championship here on Sunday, here's what he has to do. If he would win the race, earning maximum points, meaning leading the most laps, and Johnson finishes 26th or worse, Martin would be the champion. Johnson finishes 28th or worse if he leads a lap, getting those 5 bonus points. Well, there are the scenarios, but any of those could occur, and Mark Martin would become NASCAR's oldest Sprint Cup champion.
Yeah, his job on Sunday is to make that race as frustrating as he can for Jimmie Johnson. He wants to be up there with his number on top of that board all day.
Yeah, the only part of that whole thing he can control is what he does on Sunday, and he has to try to earn maximum points to have a shot.
Here's the 44 car of A.J. Allmendinger. And, folks, this is a little bit of history in and of itself for NASCAR. This is the Ford. By the way, A.J. Allmendinger was the highest finishing Dodge twice this year. And last week at Phoenix, he was the highest finishing Ford. How about that for 2 different makes of cars in a single year?
Yeah, he's done a great job the last few weeks. Texas and Phoenix, he had nice runs in this Ford. So he's got a pretty good lap going right here, too.
Well, he had a really good lap going there till he came off turn 4. Still a good effort, a 31.44.
Allmendinger finished 11th here in his debut at Homestead-Miami last year. Right now, he is second quickest of those that have gone. 50-year-old Mark Martin, right now the guy everyone's shooting for in terms of the top of the speed charts. Mark will put his walking shoes on. He has his driving shoes. Been battling for some foot issues. I think it's from pushing that throttle so much during the year. He's worn the bottom of his feet out. Right now, he is the quickest on the charts, 31.331, the lap he put up just a moment ago. Here's a 34 car out to make a qualifying effort, John Andretti.
Yeah, this is a team that's also comes into this race with something to race for. They're racing for that 35th and final spot in the points that gets guaranteed next year going into the Daytona 500. They're sitting in that spot by a pretty comfortable margin, but they need a good race here this weekend to make sure they stay there.
And the owners of this car, Brad and Bob Jenkins, are talking about running full-time next year, and still up in the air as to what they're going to do sponsorship-wise or driver-wise. Obviously, John Andretti would be a major consideration because he's done a fabulous job for this team.
Yeah, it really has been solid all year long of keeping the car out of trouble and getting the most out of the car each and every week. And that's a big spot to be in that top 35.
He clocks in 8th overall of the 9 cars that have gone, a 31.901. Let's talk to Mark Martin. Vince.
Mark's the fastest so far, and when he visited with Jamie Little prior to the qualifying run, Mark, you indicated you weren't really sure where you were going to run it, but did you find a place that was comfortable for you there?
Well, that's what, we worked on. Great race car, wasn't a great lap, but a really great race car, and I'm really proud of where we are right now. The clouds are coming in. The track's going to be very sensitive to probably advantage on a later draw and all the other things. But, we stuck with what we knew, and we're going to get a good starting spot. It's not going to be anywhere near the pole, but it's going to be better than I thought it was going to be. We've already beat some good cars.
Mark Martin always seems to get the best out of it, as you see. Kurt Busch on the track had the fastest time in practice earlier today, Doc.
He did, Vince. He ran a 31.13, and you heard Jamie talking about this is Patriot, the car that Kurt Busch used in its debut at Texas to win the race. And like his mentor, Rusty Wallace, who drove that Blue Deuce, when he wins a race, he names the car, and because it had a Operation Homefront paint scheme, he named it Patriot.
He'll come up a little short on Mark Martin's lap.
Yeah, and I think that right there, our graphic shows just how good an effort Mark made when he got back to the throttle and came off of turn 4. That's where Kurt had him until that point.
I'm so impressed with this team and what they've been able to do in this kind of a lame duck situation with the crew chief. You see there Pat Tryson moving on after this year, and they've done such a good job. And I think it's a real tribute to Pat and Kurt to be able to work together for these final 10 races the way they have.
Yeah, they could have just folded their tents and gone in opposite directions. In fact, Pat could have left when they wouldn't let him go to the shop but one day during the week, and Kurt could have said, hey, my crew chief's leaving, I'm done. But they didn't do either one of those. They came back and were very competitive throughout the chase. 10 cars have gone thus far, and right now it is Mark Martin atop the provisional pole right now with a 31.331. And how about the guy who won this race a year ago, Carl Edwards? Jamie.
Well, you can look here. He's not competitive at all. He's borrowing our little fan view here, looking at the times, watching the lines. Carl, 7th in practice. What kind of idea did you get? As good as last year, perhaps?
You know, I don't know. We didn't run any race trim, but this Aflight Fusion seemed pretty good in qualifying trim. I think we finished 7th or something. I just can't decide where I'm going to run. I don't know whether to run the top or the bottom.
Pick like Mark and just go in the middle.
Right. Just sit on the fence there. I don't know where to run. Our nationwide car is really fast, and I'm trying to get those habits, you know, out of me. I only ran 8 or 10 laps over there. Just try to go down, you know, into the corner and lay down a good lap. They say the sun's pretty bad down there, but it should be an all right lap. And it's a long race, and the coolest thing about this track is you can run right up by the fence or down the apron. It's a lot of room to race, so wherever we end up, it'll be good.
Thanks, Carl. And David Rudiman on track. Good times, huh, guys?
Yeah, Jamie, he was the pole sitter for this race last year when he got his first ever Cup pole, and he had a good lap going until between turns 3 and 4.
Yeah, he lost a lot of time to Mark Martin off of turn, basically through turn 4 and off the corner.
Yeah, if Carl's got that little piece that he had there, he might want to rewind it and see what Mark did from the center of turn 3 to off of turn 4.
How good was that lap by Mark Martin right now at top the speed charts? Beautiful shot of Homestead-Miami Speedway here, 1.5 mile racetrack. We're about 30 miles southeast. I make that southwest of Miami. If it's southeast, we'd be in the ocean, but it is southwest of Miami. And here's the 18 car, the driver who, after 4 o'clock tomorrow, you'll be able to call champ because Kyle Busch will be crowned the NASCAR Nationwide Series champion. Let's see what he can do here in the Cup car.
Pretty good lap going so far for him. They struggled a little bit in practice getting some speed. See a little wiggle right there. That's going to show up big time versus Mark Martin's lap that he made off of that corner.
And right now he's about mid-pack. Of the 12 that have gone, he is 7th, running a 31.644.
Yeah, this team made a crew chief change just a few races ago. Dave Rogers, the new crew chief. I talked to Steve Addington, the crew chief that was on this car, and he told me that he won't be with this team next year at all, that he's going to move on and do something else. He had an opportunity to maybe stay there at Joe Gibbs Racing, but told me today that he will be moving on next year.
Last time Kyle Busch ran a 1.5 mile racetrack at Texas, he dominated, leading 232 laps, and just can't quite pick it up. That first lap will hold right now. He's 7th overall. Vince.
Brad Keselowski in the 12 car again this weekend for Roger Penske, and as he looks ahead to a full season in that ride next year. Just your second time here at Homestead in a Cup car, and looked like you maybe had your hands full in turn 4. What's been the big change that you've noticed in the year that's passed when you ran this for the first time a season ago?
I think you just get more comfortable with the cars and trying to understand what it takes to be fast. I thought the last 2 races I ran in the Penske car were my first 2 races at Texas and Phoenix. I thought I ran a great qualifying lap, came in and it was slow, but the car drove great. Or drove really, really good. And this week it drove terrible and it was fast. So, just trying to figure out what feel is fast and trying to build that up. And I think I might have learned a little bit of something here today that hopefully we can apply to next year.
Brad Keselowski. Doc?
Thank you, Vince. Certainly a lot of promise for this young driver going full-time in Cup next year with Roger Penske. How about Matt Kenseth? When the season began here in Florida, he won the season-opening Daytona 500 from the back of the pack. He won this race at Homestead 2 years ago. Part of the Roush Fenway contingent that now have won 5 in a row at Homestead-Miami Speedway. Let's see what he can do in qualifying.
He couldn't have run much higher off turn 4, I don't think.
I was going to say, that's about as long a lap as you could possibly make around here, especially off of 4. We'll put him 10th quickest with that first lap. I know we're watching Matt here, but go back to something Brad Keselowski said there about his car didn't feel good, but it went fast. Whenever it felt good, it didn't go fast. I was talking to Jeff Burton after the Phoenix race last week. I said, man, we showed you just wheeling that thing, just driving it. He said, I found out that's what you have to do with these cars. You get them to, you try to make them feel good, you don't go fast. He said, so I've just come to the conclusion I'm going to have to do that and drive it.
Well, Matt Kenseth's lap will not be quicker. He will now clock in 10th of the 13 cars that have gone thus far. We invite you to join us Sunday afternoon. Big day here at Homestead-Miami Speedway. We're going to crown a NASCAR Sprint Cup champion in the Ford 400 starting Sunday 2:30 Eastern Time on ABC with NASCAR Countdown. Remember, our Sports Center presented by AutoZone coverage coming up at 1 o'clock Eastern on Sunday over on ESPN. Coverage from high atop Homestead-Miami Speedway, courtesy of our good friends at Goodyear. New Fuel Max tires help you get there on less gas. Calculate your savings at GoodyearTires.com. Sun shining, beautiful palm trees swaying. You can't ask for a better setting here to finish up the NASCAR season. Here's the 20 car, rookie driver Joey Logano going out to qualify. And got to believe that when this race is over on Sunday, Joey Logano will be named the youngest rookie of the year in NASCAR history. He'll be 19 years, 5 months, and 29 days of age on Sunday, eclipsing the mark that Kyle Busch had set at 20 years, 6 months, and 13 days as a rookie of the year back in 2005.
And that right there, this is making Mark Martin's lap look really good, because this is a car that was in the top 5 in practice with a very fast lap time, but not able to lay it down here in qualifying.
We saw him run the highest line, I think, through 1 and 2 that we'd seen anybody, and then he went more down towards the bottom. He's not quite as low here. He's trying to arc it in and make a lower exit of the corner now. See how that works out for him. In theory, it was the right thing to do, but as far as speed goes, not going to pick up. Just a little bit slower by 100th of a second than his first lap.
So Joey Logano, who has already won a race this year as the youngest winner in NASCAR history, up in New Hampshire back in June. We show you the rookie point standings. Logano over Scott Speed and Max Pappas. The points differential, 36 points coming into the finale. And although there is a committee that meets and discusses to determine the rookie of the year, got to believe that Joey, with that size margin and the fact that he's won a race, will win the bestest rookie of the year points title here as a rookie.
Well, nothing to the other two guys there, but I think that's a meeting that they could probably not have.
Yeah, that's a no-brainer.
Give Joey, yes, he's had a great season, done a great job.
Here's the 24 car. We're talking about having a good year. He snapped that 47-race winless streak at Texas. Came back in the second Texas race, won his first pole of the year. And Jeff Gordon, although he will not win the championship, would love to be able to go to victory lane for the second time this year here at Homestead on Sunday.
Now, Gordon got through that corner real good and looked very similar to Mark Martin's line through there. Now, he's a lot higher than Mark Martin at this point. Now, Mark ran the bottom of the racetrack off of turn 4. You can see right there, everybody seems to be losing time to Mark Martin coming off turn 4.
Mark just nailed that exit of the corner. When he got back in the gas, middle of turn 3, he was on it and didn't ever have to lift. And you see the difference that it's making. Good lap for Jeff.
Yeah, Jeff, 4th overall. What Mark Martin say? I never really qualified a COT here, but one more practice and I'll be pretty good. NASCAR Sprint Cup Series qualifying ongoing here at Homestead-Miami Speedway. The 16th car to go on the racetrack will be the 39 car. And that is Ryan the Rocket Man Newman. Right now, the front row, Mark Martin on the pole, and Kurt Busch is second. Vince.
That's right, indeed. But Kurt, like many of the drivers that we've seen down here get out of the car, and kind of had one of those looks on your face where you shake your head a little bit. Is it the track? What seems to be the challenge at this time of the day right now with these cars?
I've been on top of the chart a few times now. I know this is at least number 2. It might be the 3rd time where I was the fastest in practice, and then I go out there and I lose 3/10, and I end up way in the back. So I don't know. It's something about Homestead. I was very nervous before this lap. Not just because we were quick time, but just because I knew this was going to be a trend. And, hey, everybody's fighting it. Your car's loose here. It's tight there. We didn't change a thing. It's just the nationwide cars run, and then the sun seats there and bakes on it. It changes. So it's just to see where Newman ends up. You know, he's really good at qualifying, but everybody's slipping and sliding right now.
Kurt Busch just slipped to number 3 as Ryan Newman gets him on the number 2 spot. But look for Kurt up toward the front. He's a former winner here, Doc.
Yeah, he'll be good on Sunday. And how close was that for Ryan Newman, guys? He had it until coming off 4 right at the flag.
He just couldn't hold it. I mean, you saw how he started slipping and sliding a little bit off the corner, and that's where Mark Martin had so much grip and was able to get off that corner wide open.
We talked about the impressive performance a week ago by Jeff Burton. Let's visit with him. Jamie.
Finished second last week. So, Jeff, Dale Jarrett said he was talking to you, and you said you learned something last week. If these cars don't feel good, they're fast. If they feel good, they're slow. So what's your car this weekend?
Well, I didn't mean to say it like that. They got to have grip. The thing about last week and the week before was my car was faster if I was sideways. And it's some cars you can drive loose and some cars you can't. The last 2 weeks I've been able to drive them loose, and hopefully in qualifying that doesn't work. So hopefully we won't have to deal with that. But it's been a big jump for us the last 2 weeks for sure. Hopefully we can keep that continuing.
Yes, he's had 2 top 5s in the last 3 races, and RCR looking for their first win here at Miami Homestead. Doc.
Yeah, exactly, Jamie. From 42nd to a top 10, and from 36 last week to 2nd. Here's the 1 car. Final qualifying effort for Martin Truex Jr. He was the pole sitter last week at Phoenix. Last time he will drive this car, the Earnhardt Ganassi machine, with his longtime friend and crew chief Bono Mannion. They made the announcement yesterday that Jamie McMurray would be in this car in 2010 with Bass Pro Shops as a sponsor.
Boy, he's got something going here on the second lap now. He's almost a 1/10 and a half faster than Mark right at this point. Now, can he hold it? Doesn't look like it.
And right off of 4, going the wrong direction. Wanted to leave it with another pole and couldn't quite do it. 5th overall for Truex.
Almost every car that's run after Mark has been in the green somewhere in their lap. A little faster than Mark, but that turn 4, Mark just absolutely nailed.
He did, and the only 2 cars that we've seen run faster on their second lap are the teammates, Montoya and Martin Truex.
Dale Jarrett, if you're down there and you go back and you have the ability to go back and look at Mark Martin's lap before you go qualify, how was he able to nail that throttle and keep gaining speed coming out of 4?
Yeah, there's a lot more to it than just watching it and say, okay, I'm going to do that. That's where I'm going to be good at. Yeah, it's a balance too. And as Andy, I think he pointed out, Mark looked like he had more grip there. So that's the last corner that you're making of that 1 lap where you have the tires the best, and Mark's car was able to have more grip right there, and he just made a perfect lap. He didn't think it was that good, but we're seeing now just how good that lap was.
Here's the 43 car, Reed Sorensen. We talked about the fact that there are 7 drivers that when the checkered flag waves on Sunday will be unemployed or looking for a job, and here's Reed Sorensen, talented young driver, really not sure what he's going to do yet in 2010.
Yeah, there's just a very few opportunities out there for next year that are not already secured, and he is one of the guys that's in the running for one of those. And that's why this race is so important for all of these drivers. They want to do well and really leave a good impression on a potential owner for next year.
Well, he had his hands full coming down. You see him, we saw him wiggling that steering wheel back and forth and go way up across the
he's in trouble.
And just clipped the wall a little bit with the right rear.
Great job, though.
195 on your first lap. Good save there.
That is a good save because he could have really torn this car up. Now, he did make a little contact, but what he did after that was pretty stellar.
Yeah. And I'll go back to something I said a minute ago and that Jeff Burton followed up on about these cars. Every car is always a challenge and a fine balance, whether it's of getting the speed out of it and how it's going to drive. As a driver, as you can see, this car is not very comfortable right here. Reed's trying to get the most out of it, but it just gets away from him. You always said, Andy, too, if you're up close to that wall, you won't hit it as hard, right?
That's right. He just barely gets a piece of it and does a really good job to save it from there.
Yeah, and so I wasn't saying that the car was bad or anything. It's just it's a different challenge for these guys to find what is that balance between going fast and the comfort level that you can get in the car. And a lot of these guys have found, we see Jimmy Johnson drive his car literally sideways at a lot of places, and so it makes it difficult. But finding that edge and what's going to make your car go better is what you have to look for.
This is what happens when you go over the edge.
Right. How appropriate it was always Richard Petty, who drove the 43, said the closer to the wall you are, the easier you tap it. Last year's winner here, Carl Edwards, going out to qualify, and for cousin Carl, they got one more shot. They get one more swing to try to get into victory lane, and it couldn't come at a better racetrack because Carl Edwards is very good at Homestead-Miami Speedway and also on 1.5-mile tracks among the drivers who are still trying to get to victory lane this year. So it just might happen for Carl on Sunday, but he's hoping it happens for him right here in this qualifying lap.
You know, he's very determined to try to get at least one win. I mean, this has been so disappointing of a season for him not to get a win so far. So he'll be really wheeling this car Sunday to try to get it.
Well, he used up a lot of racetrack over there on the exit of turn 2. He went in about the middle of the track, but ended up right against the wall.
He was 7th quickest in practice. He ran a 31:40. If he can duplicate that, that would at least put him in row 2.
He's got some work to do that.
Talked about Carl last year. He's the only driver in Homestead-Miami Speedway history to win both the nationwide race and the Cup race on the weekend. He won them both here a year ago.
Be a little bit quicker on this second lap here.
Yeah, he gains quite a few spots, up to 9th place.
Second lap was better. That's P9, 31.58.
Let's visit with a driver who came very, very close to possibly putting it on the pole. Vince.
He started here second a couple of other times in the past and sits second right now, Ryan Newman. We've talked throughout the course of the broadcast about so many guys have been quicker than Mark at various parts of their lap, and then they get to turn 4. What happened in turn 4 for you?
Well, first of all, I saw Mark's interview, and he was mad. He was mad at himself in during practice, I guess, or after practice. But and that probably led to a little bit of his getting off turn 4. But it was a great run for our U.S. Army Chevrolet. I got loose down in 3 and 4 and lost some time. I know I lost some time down there. You said I had to beat a little bit going up to that. So just a good run for us. So hopefully it's somewhere close to the top 5 and have a good starting spot, which we haven't had the last couple weeks.
Ryan Newman, Doc.
Thank you, Vince. Here's Casey Mears. We talked about the drivers that may be looking for rides in 2010. Or it is the 07 car may not come back to RCR, so Casey may be one of the free agents looking around.
In the green.
And what better way to impress somebody if you can get a good start, maybe get a good finish. He had it, drove it into turn 3.
Yeah, he's giving it all it's got, but just not quite as good of grip through this last part of the racetrack to pull it off. Good lap, though. 6th place, a 31.46.
Casey with 4 top 10 finishes here in 2009. His best finish a 6th at Michigan. He has a top 5 here at Homestead-Miami. That 5th place finish back in 2005, though, was when he was driving a Dodge.
And this team's had some really good runs as of late. They've got a few of the finishes to show for that effort that they've put forth. You can see he's losing some grip there off of turn 4 on that second lap.
So it's a little bit slower than his first lap, but the first lap good enough to put him right now in the top 10 in 6th position. What about a 3-time Homestead winner? Jamie.
Well, Greg Biffle came here with a plan to run the high side. Now you're watching what these guys are doing. What are you thinking?
Well, it looks like, maybe down the racetrack, more to the middle or 3/4 of the way up. Seems like it's a little bit faster. I definitely don't want to be up where the 43 was. It didn't look very fast, but I don't know. I'm second guessing myself now, so we'll just wait and see what comes natural when I get out there.
We'll roll the dice. He's pretty good here, as you said, Doc.
Boy, Greg Biffle has been better than pretty good here, Jamie. 3 wins in a row, and all 3 from different starts. He won it once from 22nd starting spot, so his kind of racetrack.
I still think it's kind of interesting that all these drivers, hardly any of them are committed to one line or the other. They're just going to play it by ear when they get out there.
Again, the time to shoot at here is Tony Stewart's on the racetrack is Mark Martin, who went out early at 31.331. And Mark said that's not going to be good enough for the pole. It'll be okay, but as the clouds come across, but right now it is holding up pretty well. Maybe that is until this 14 car finishes.
See what he can do. Good. Yeah, he was good in practice.
He looks pretty good. That's one of the better cars off the corner there.
Going to be close.
Coming back.
I think it's going to be okay.
Yeah, I'd say so, Tony. Second, just a couple of hundredths off of Mark Martin.
Wow. Good lap for Tony Stewart, 31.351. And the driver who won here, he won twice here, 99 and 2000. One here as a rookie. The first time he came to this racetrack now may start on the front row. Now, Mark Martin commented that he didn't think his lap would hold up because the clouds are going to come over and the track is going to cool. Is it indeed cooling? It looks like it may be. We'll see if Mark Martin can hang on when we come back. 22nd car to go out of 48 that we have to make an attempt to qualify here at Homestead-Miami Speedway. This is the 27-year-old rookie driver, Eric Darnell, making only his 7th start in a NASCAR Sprint Cup car. Eric had primarily run in the NASCAR Camping World Truck Series, Rookie of the Year there in 06, so didn't have a lot of experience in the Cup car and was given this opportunity when Bobby Labonte's sponsorship went away and Bobby went to move to the 71 car.
Pretty good effort. Leslie, crew chief.
So 14th quickest on that first lap at 31.66.
Not a bad effort at all for a young man who's never been in a Cup car here at Homestead. Having to adapt not only to the Cup car, the COT, the new configuration of the Cup car, and the horsepower differential. And right now he puts himself in the top 20 at 14th overall. Well, round 1 at Homestead is qualifying today. Round 2 at Homestead, we'll have it coverage for you tomorrow at 3 o'clock Eastern time. It is happy hour. Final practice session when they dial in all the NASCAR Sprint Cup cars and get set for Sunday. And talk about a day for you on Sunday. We start out with Sports Center coverage presented by AutoZone here at the NASCAR Sprint Cup Championship. That's coming up 1 o'clock Eastern time on ESPN. And then live flag-to-flag coverage of the Ford 400 at Homestead-Miami, 2:30 Eastern time on ABC, beginning with NASCAR Countdown. Tomorrow here at 4 o'clock, we will crown a NASCAR Nationwide Series champion. Always a barn burner here to finish out the Nationwide season. Lots of stories to follow. Our coverage beginning at 4 o'clock Eastern time. And, of course, we will begin the day and finish the day, wrapping up the whole weekend. NASCAR Now, Sunday morning, 10 a.m. and Sunday evening at 10 p.m. Eastern time on ESPN2. You heard the interview with Jeff Burton about how difficult these cars are to drive, but what a job the RCR guys have done, and he has done the last couple of weeks to have some fabulous finishes. Let's see what he can do here in qualifying.
Yeah, the job he did last week at Phoenix was really incredible when you consider that, he basically just drove to the front with his car. He had a solid day and brought that thing home second, almost pulled it off.
Yeah, and they know the one thing they need to work on now is their race program is getting a lot better is the qualifying effort, because he said, you can't do that every week. Expect to do that without something happening along the way.
You're going to pick it up a little bit this second lap.
Yeah, Jeff showed you the last few weeks that he doesn't have to qualify that well, because when the race starts, he can get the job done. A little bit deceptive because he had to go to a backup car at Texas when he started 42nd in a car with only a few laps on it. Still got a top 10 finish. But last week, 36th to second on a difficult racetrack to drive at Phoenix. Let's go down and talk with the reigning champ, Jimmie Johnson.
Certainly the man of the hour. Everybody talking and watching Jimmie Johnson. In practice, you ended up 21st on the board, and you and Mark Martin talking a lot. What was it that you were looking for, searching for?
It's funny, even then we were trying to figure out what line to run. Our lap, I don't think the speed in the car really shows from qualifying practice. My lap at the end, I jumped the cushion down in 3 and 4 like some other guys did, and I just didn't know how high up on the track I could run, and got a little too high. But I'm looking forward to our lap. I'm not sure I have enough for the pole, but I don't think Mark knew what he had until he went out. So very optimistic, and I think we'll have a great starting spot.
Jimmie, everybody's talking about Sunday and what can happen. You've been in this situation 3 other times. Is this one any different?
They're all different, and then they're the same in a lot of ways, because anything can happen, and Texas is proof of that. I know what this team is made of. I'm so proud of what we have done. Last week shows what this team is capable of, and as long as there's nothing crazy like Texas, we should be in good shape.
All right, thanks, Jimmie Johnson. We'll roll out, and Kevin Harvick, guys, guess he just missed the pole.
He did just miss it. He had a good lap going between 3 and 4, and coming off 4, no one right now been able to do what Mark Martin did to hold that speed coming out of turn 4.
Yeah, he's run another lap here, but it looks like it's going to be slower, but you can see he looked like he had enough cushion as far as lap time to make it off of turn 4 and get the pole, but just not quite enough.
Yeah, he chose that low line over there. Almost worked for him.
The car just wiggled and stepped out on him. He gathered it back up. It's going to be even slower this time by. So that first lap right now good enough for 3rd overall at a track that has been very good to Kevin Harvick over the years. In 8 starts, he has had 6 top 10 finishes.
Yeah. If you tuned in and heard Jimmie Johnson talking about the cushion, no, we're not on dirt.
What does that
They're
look
kicking
like?
us some dust out there, but that's just that edge that these guys are getting so close to the wall, carrying as much speed as they possibly can. You just get above that little bit where you have grip versus the dirt that's right up against the wall.
I think the track is really shaping up to race well on Sunday.
Oh, man, it's going to be fantastic. You can see we're going to have at least 4 lanes that you can race in.
Here's the 98 car going out to qualify. That is Paul Menard. And if you just joined our coverage, qualifying thus far, top of your screen, you'll see that Mark Martin is our provisional pole sitter right now. Tony Stewart is 2nd. Kevin Harvick just went out 3rd. Newman and Busch, that's Kurt Busch, are 4th and 5th. A.J. Allmendinger, Truex Mears, Jeff Gordon, and David Rudeman, the top 10. We talk about the importance of this final race of the year for teams wanting to get some momentum and look ahead to 2010. Such is the case for Paul Menard. First time by 31.715. That's 21st. Let's see if he can pick it up a little more.
Well, it was looking a little better there. It looked like he might have been trying something a little different on this second lap, but he's going to end up about the same place.
A couple hundred slower.
Well, you know, we talked about Mark Martin and Tony Stewart. They're 0.02 of a second exactly difference in these guys' qualifying effort. Two totally different lines. You see Mark Martin on the bottom of the racetrack, Tony Stewart up on the top of the racetrack, and they're virtually identical times. Look, there's the difference in 2/100ths of a second.
Wow, that is impressive, guys. That is awfully good. Let's go down and visit with Tony. Vince.
Well, Tony, we were just looking with the replays of your run compared to Mark's run. Mark was down around the bottom of the track. You were around the top of the track. How do you make the decision on where you want to run here at Homestead?
It's just personal preference right now. It's what feels to you. It feels good to you as a driver, and where your car feels good too. So I felt better on the top, and I know Mark's been committed to the bottom all day. So that's the good thing about this track, though. It's normally no matter where we go, there's one distinct groove, good spot on the racetrack to be for qualifying, and that's what's cool about being here at Homestead is that we got two polar opposite grooves to run today.
The guys upstairs had noted that you've won here twice. It's been several years, 99 and 2000, a long time ago. How has this racetrack and its surface changed since then?
It gained a lot of banking. It was really flat when I won here, but the first year I came here, it was still a rectangle-shaped track like Indianapolis, and then they made it an oval, and then now it's got banking. But we were leading this thing last year and lost it on a fuel mileage deal. But this is a place I look forward to, and I want to say hi to my good friend Jim Hunter, who's been not feeling so good here lately. So just want to say hi to him and thank Office Depot and Old Spice.
Doc.
Yeah, the 7 car, that's Matt Crafton, who was out to practice and qualify the car that Robbie Gordon will race on Sunday. Robbie's off running the Baja 1000. Matt is second in the Truck Series points. Had an issue out of the back of the car in qualifying.
Yeah, I don't know if he lost an oil line, water line, or the engine blew up, but a lot of fluid coming out of this race car right here. We have to have a lot of cleanup.
Yeah, and lucky he didn't crash that car right there. Nice job by Matt Crafton.
Yeah, Matt's never been in a Cup car. He's run primarily in a Truck Series, doing a good job filling in here for Robbie Gordon. Well, the man has been Mr. Homestead-Miami Speedway, Greg Biffle, going out to attempt to qualify. Why do we say he's been so good here over the years? Because he has, folks. 3 years in a row, Greg Biffle won it. This might have been the closest anyone could come back in 2005. Mark Martin trying to get there, but it's Biffle by a nose at the start-finish line. The second of 3 wins that Greg Biffle has had here. He won in 2006 after starting way back in 22nd position. There are the 7 different winners, and by the way, all 7 of those former winners are here to race on Sunday. The fluid coming out of the 7 car has been checked out by NASCAR. It was indeed just water from a water line, so now the track has been checked and cleared, and we'll see what Greg Biffle can do with his Ford.
Well, he had a tenth to spare getting into turn 3. Not going to be enough, though.
Yeah, you're going to need more than that if you're going to beat Mark Martin off of turn 4.
And he clocks in 5th right now on that first lap.
That's still a great lap. I don't care if it was just water that was put down on the track. That works with your mind as a driver as you get ready to go out and try to bust off a lap to get the pole.
See Jack Roush watching there. This is the Ford 400, by the way, on Sunday. It could be called the Jack Roush Invitational because they've won it 5 years in a row, his drivers.
Yeah, and he's seeing his chances for the pole kind of wither away here. He's got one more shot with Jamie McMurray.
And he comes down and just can't quite get better. So right now, Biffle clocks in 5th overall. The guy who's 3rd right now in the speed, we call him Happy Harvey. Vince, is he happy right now?
He is pretty happy, and he always seems to run here, run well here at Homestead-Miami Speedway. What is it about this racetrack and Kevin Harvick that jive?
Yeah, for whatever reason, for RCR and RCL Pennzoil Chevrolet, I mean, it's been a good racetrack for us, and for whatever reason, it just fits everything that we do. So it's a lot of fun because you can race from the bottom to the top, and our cars had good speed this weekend, and everything's gone well. So just want to tell everybody we got 811 on the deck lid on this car this week. If you're going to dig something up, call 811 first.
There you go. Kevin Harvick sells it and drives it. Jamie?
Well, his teammate Clint Boyer, you know, I hear a little rumor that you think this could be a pole-capable car. What do you think?
Well, I hope it's not a rumor anymore. I want to make it a reality. These guys have worked so hard all year long. I haven't been able to get them one. We're getting closer and closer here in the last month or so. So, you know, hopefully the Cheerios Hamburger help with Chevrolet. You know, I think a car is capable of getting the job done. I just got to hit my marks and, you know, hopefully made the right adjustments to be there.
Well, he was third in practice, Doc, and he doesn't have a pole yet this year.
Yeah, he's yet to go. So is the 48 of Jimmy Johnson. Let's see what a former pole sitter Casey Kane can do here. He won the pole in a Dodge back in 2006. And that won't get it done. A 31.585 puts Casey Kane right now 14th of the cars that have qualified, of the 28 cars that have gone out to qualify. We will make history on Sunday afternoon here, the season finale, 36th and final race for the NASCAR Sprint Cup cars. It is the Ford 400 at Homestead-Miami beginning at 2:30 Eastern Time on ABC. Will Jimmy Johnson become the first driver to win 4 consecutive titles, or will NASCAR crown a 50-year-old champion by the name of Mark Martin? Aerial coverage from high above Homestead-Miami Speedway, beautiful South Florida, where it is a sunny afternoon, courtesy of our good friends at Goodyear. New Fuel Max tires help you get there on less gas. Calculate your savings at GoodyearTires.com. Here's the 55 car, and possibly a bit of history going away. Some of the fans this week talking about this may be the last time that we will see a Waltrip running full-time in NASCAR Sprint Cup. We had the Darrell Waltrip here, then Michael coming in, and Michael's going to run part-time or just a few races next year in Cup because he has Martin Truex driving the 56 car with the Napa sponsor.
Yeah, Michael's had a excellent career as a driver. Been very entertaining on and off the racetrack.
Yeah, we still get that.
Yeah. But, you know, he's settling in as an owner now, and he's built a very reputable organization there. Cars that are now winning and capable of winning on a weekly basis. So if this is his last time, especially here, this track, then, Michael, we thank you for all that you've done for the sport, buddy.
Have a 00 of David Rudiman, Martin Truex next year, and he built this team from scratch, basically from ground up, and had to do it with a new manufacturer in Toyota. And now will probably, although he may run on a regular basis, we are told, in the NASCAR Nationwide Series in 2010. Currently 26th overall of the 29 cars that have taken time. Mark Martin right now top of speed charts. 31-33. Tony Stewart beside him in qualifying. Harvick, Newman, and Biffle, the top 5. Here's the 19 car of Elliott Sadler. It'll be the last time we see Elliott in a Dodge. Next year, Richard Petty Motorsports guys will be driving Fords. And Elliott only had one trip in a Ford this year, and he made the best of it with a top 10 finish at Talladega.
There's still a lot of questions with this team, though. I talked to some of the guys down in the garage today, and they don't really have a clear-cut direction on exactly what they're going to be doing with these cars next year. We do hear they're going to be Fords. That's probably pretty certain, but just haven't heard a lot of the details of this proposed merger between Yates and Richard Petty Motorsport. Good run for Elliott so far here.
It is a nice lap. They didn't practice all that well, but got it figured out.
Right there at the top 10, just outside the top 10 for Elliott Sadler, 11th overall, which right now would make him the second fastest Dodge, with Kurt Busch 6th and him 11th. And I tell you what, I don't know if you had, it's important to win the pole, but when you qualify, it's really important to get out of the car and be smiling. And the guy Jamie's standing with is always smiling when qualifying's over.
He's one of the happiest guys out here, even though he has to sit here and think about the fact that you have to get in the field based on your time. You were 43rd in practice, 48 cars out here. What do you think about your chances here today?
I'm always a positive thinker, so I felt that today we started a little bit off with a guy called Toyota, and we got a lot better. Booty was very prompt with all the guys, to make changes, get better, get stronger, and I will have to really focus really hard and kind of get into that unknown area, because every time you are conservative, you don't make it, and I really want to go out there and squeeze the best out I can, and it's not an easy task, but I felt confident, and I'm gonna go out there and dig deep. I have a lot of will to make it happen. I really want to make this happen, and I'm just gonna go out there and attack.
All right, he's hiding over here by his car, getting focused, Doc.
Very important for him to have a good lap here, living in South Florida, knowing his father-in-law, the great Emerson Fittipaldi, normally comes out to watch him qualify. McMurray, it didn't fluctuate much, but it was a pretty good lap.
It was a great lap, and it looked like he was going to be able to challenge Mark. Still comes up there with a 31.42, a great run.
We did mention that Jamie was announced yesterday that he would be in the 1 car for 2010, the Bass Pro Shops Chevrolet for Earnhardt Ganassi Racing. Well, here's the 3-time and defending champ that's hoping to be able to write his own page in the NASCAR history book on Sunday. All week long, they have talked about nothing, but they have got to get this car qualified up front on Friday. Can he do it?
Yeah, we heard Max Pappas talk about you have to venture out there into that unknown when you make these qualifying laps. That's what Jimmy's going to have to do here. He was only 21st fastest in practice, so he's going to have to go out there and really try to find it.
DJ, you heard him say when we interviewed him, he said Mark didn't know what he had in his car when he went out. I'm not really sure what I've got, but we're going to find out.
Oh, look at this
See
guy.
what he's got right now. Wow.
Talk about in the unknown. Look at this.
Talking about needing some cushion to come off this corner to beat Mark Martin.
Nah, he's got it by
Oh, baby. He set on a pole in 07. Can he do it in 2009? Yes, Jimmy Johnson is atop the speed chart. How about that, boy?
Yes.
Wow.
Wow,
Is
that
a
is
statement there or
incredible.
what?
Told you.
Told you.
I love you. 31.04. Get you some of that. Kiss you on the lips.
We might stop short of that, guys, but that's pretty impressive.
Well, let's get the cameras ready anyway. Jimmy Johnson, a 31.049, and right now, that is the lap everyone's going to have to beat. Well, the 3-time champ had just given him a number to shoot at, and what a number Jimmy Johnson just put up on the board in qualifying as he climbs out of his Chevy and pats her on the roof. 21st quickest in practice, but folks, he ran a 31.049 second lap. That is almost 3/10 quicker than Mark Martin, who is second fastest.
Yeah, he said, I told you. He was confident he could do that.
Everybody hugging so far, no kisses on the lips. That was one. What was that? Chad that said that.
Oh.
Here we go. Here's a 77 car. Sam Hornish Jr.
Picks it up on his second lap up to the 20th spot.
Sam's been pretty good on the 1.5 mile racetracks. Likes this track and likes their chances of having a good top 15 run on Sunday. So if you just joined our coverage right now, it is the 2 championship principals, Johnson and Martin, in that order, that are 1-2 in points, who sit 1-2 on the speed chart. There's Jimmy Johnson. Said he had 3 battles to conquer the weekend, and the first one looks like he might have conquered it, Vince.
Wow, how about that? Where did you find that? There seemed to be so much indecision before the run, and then it was so convincing. Where did you get it?
Yeah, I think Mark started the indecision for everyone with the qualifying practice. He didn't know where to run, and you guys talked about it. And then all of us watched what he did and didn't know where to run. So I didn't know where to run, and I knew 1 and 2 with the shade on it. I was in the right spot. And from watching the video, it seemed like a lot of guys were slow back to the gas in 3 and 4, and I really focused on that. And I started the gas really early, and the car started turning. And then I was a little worried about corner exit being loose, but it stayed underneath me. It worked well. And I knew in practice that we should have been much better than 21st. I just got a poor lap and jumped the cushion down here in 3 and 4, and luckily didn't hit the right side on the wall. But great effort. It was a little bit stressful, a little more stressful than we wanted this afternoon for the slows team, but Chad kept us cool. I did, these guys did, and went out there and got a good lap.
You talk about the stress involved with qualifying. How about the entire weekend? How have you been handling that during the week, and how do you feel as you stand here embarking on your 4th straight Cup championship?
I'm really just trying to keep my mind on each thing that I have to do that day. The race, there's plenty of things to be concerned about, but that's 2 days from now. So I'm just worried about today, and today is behind us. We did a good job. We're going to have a great starting spot, hopefully on pole. Tomorrow, focus on the challenges of tomorrow, and then save all that worrying for Sunday, and we'll see what happens.
Taking care of business indeed, Doc.
One day at a time. What Jimmie Johnson said, today is today. I only want to be on the pole. What a lap he turned. Tomorrow it's happy hour, getting the car dialed in, and Sunday, take a deep breath and hopefully chasing history. Now the track champ is coming down. You heard Mark Martin say that he didn't think his lap would hold up because it is going to get cooler, and indeed it has.
Yeah, Mark Martin's lap was run up closer to that 101 mark, and the track now at 91 degrees. That's a lot of grip, so these last few qualifiers are going to have a little advantage when it comes to the grip. And Marcus Ambrose is probably one of the last cars in the running that I see that may have a shot at the pole.
While you watch Marcus, I will mention the 33 car, Clint Boyer, thought he might have had a shot at the pole. He clocked in 7th overall at a 31.425. Still a good lap for Clint Boyer.
Check this out, guys. Front row, Marcus Ambrose.
How about that for Marcos Ambrose? Wow.
Yeah, as you said, Andy, I think these guys are benefiting. We heard Jimmy allude to the fact that 1 and 2 has a lot of shade on it now, and they're getting a lot of speed down there right now. We saw Marcus Ambrose on the last mile and a half that we run have a great run at Texas a few weeks ago. They ran out of fuel late in the race, but they were up there battling for that race.
They had a shot at winning the Texas race for sure.
Man, he's not as quick the second time by, but good enough right now to be on the outside of row 1 beside Jimmie Johnson. Let's go down and visit with Jamie McMurray.
Well, he's a Roush car, and they're always good here. Good qualifying effort. Take us through that and try to tie in the fact that you signed your deal for next year, so there's got to be a little bit of relief.
Yeah, this has been just an awesome track for Ford and for Roush, and certainly this is Ford Championship weekend, so it's a great place to have your cars run well. But our Crown Royal Ford Fusion, we unloaded a lot better today than what we have in like the last 10 weeks. So certainly the engineering department and everybody at Roush Fenway, whether you're the guys putting the crush panels in or the people hanging the bodies, they've made our cars just every little place a little bit better. And the cars had a lot more speed in it this weekend. So excited about that. And then had our announcement today that moving back over to Earnhardt Ganassi Racing. And I've had a great relationship with Chip and Felix even when I left, and we've continued that friendship, and their cars are just really, really fast right now, and it's a great opportunity for me. I actually got to go to their shop on Tuesday of this week. Haven't been there in like 4 or 5 years, and it was a lot of fun to see all the old faces and have all those guys pat you on the back and say that they were glad to have you back. There's a lot to be said about not only having the 10 or 11 guys on your team be behind you, but to have the whole organization behind you. So excited about getting to be over there, and obviously Bass Pro Shops, the sponsor. I grew up 60 miles from Bass Pro Shops, and when they first got in the sport, I thought, how awesome would that be to get to be a part of that, being a Missouri boy, and it's exciting. Elliott Sadler, as soon as he found out that I'd signed to drive the Bass Pro Shops cars, invited me to Emporia, Virginia to participate in his hunt club, and hopefully in the next couple weeks I'll have my first buck that I've killed. So excited about a lot of things right now.
A lot of new things for Jamie McMurray. Congratulations, Doc.
Love to see him smiling and so excited about what's going to happen in 2010. Here's Bobby Labonte. Made the announcement last week that he would be driving this car for 2010 for Kevin Buckler. And pretty good lap, guys.
Yeah, 14th. I think there's definitely going to be some more grip left in this track with the sun going down. And you got a couple other cars that may have a shot here, maybe even Bill Elliott.
Bobby, the former winner here at Homestead-Miami Speedway, won this race back in 2003.
I know I could have drove harder, but if I drove any harder, I would have been slower, I'm sure. So.
Bobby commenting on the lap he turned here. And what about Marcos Ambrose? What a surprise, Vince.
It's interesting. He said that's a good one to go home on. Boy, what a confidence builder it is. And, you know, last year you came here. It was your first time in a Sprint Cup car at this racetrack. You qualified by, I think, 41st. How far have you come as a race car driver in a year's time?
Yeah, we've pretty much got the same springs. Everything's the same under the car. And the difference is 41st in the grid to second. These cars are very hard to drive. You've got to have a lot of confidence. You've got to really know what you're doing out there. And to be fair, qualifying's been my kryptonite this year. I haven't qualified as well as what I needed to, and that's a nice one to go home on. You know, I'll go in the off-season now knowing that I can do it if I get my head in the game. And nothing wrong with the car. It's just, it's very hard to qualify these cars. Speeds are high. You've got to really trust yourself that you can save the car when it goes wrong. And, you know, I'm just really proud of my team. We're really doing something special. And it's our first year in. It's just a great way to finish it. Hopefully we can do well in the race and feel good about ourselves.
They have indeed been a big achiever this year, Doc.
And Vince, he's my pick for a driver to watch in 2010 in terms of someone that's going to ease maybe into that chase and be a factor.
I'm going to be watching him Sunday.
Yeah, I guarantee you.
He's going to be fast.
So will Jimmy Johnson, who starts beside him right now in the front row. Here's David Gilliland, by the way. This is the fourth Joe Gibbs car. Third time that Gilliland has driven the 02 car in 2009. And this is another driver looking for a ride next year.
Pretty good audition right there. 14th quickest so far. 31.49, just slides in there ahead of Bobby Labonte.
We talk about what's going to happen on Sunday. Right now in the front row, Jimmy Johnson and Marcus Ambrose. Mark Martin just behind Jimmy Johnson in row 2. Our coverage beginning tomorrow with happy hour final practice. You heard Jimmy say one day at a time. Got to get it dialed in at 3 Eastern time on ESPN2. We'll have that coverage of this car as it goes on the racetrack. Of course, on Sunday, we're going to start the day with SportsCenter, presented by AutoZone. Some very special looks at different teams and different drivers. You don't want to miss it. 1 o'clock Eastern time on ESPN. And then on ABC Live, flag-to-flag coverage of the season finale, Ford 400 at Homestead-Miami, 2:30 Eastern time, beginning with NASCAR Countdown. Tomorrow, 4 o'clock Eastern time, the finale for the NASCAR Nationwide Series. We'll see if possibly Kyle Busch can not only win the championship, but win the race here as they finish the year. And, of course, the pre- and post-race setups by NASCAR now. What's going to happen on Sunday, and then wrapping up the entire weekend, 10 a.m., 10 p.m. on ESPN2.
See Dave Blaney there wiggling a little bit. Got into one of those seams there. Kind of want to stay off of those. We talked about in some other tracks, but the seams here can get you too. It's not the effort that Dave's going to need to try to get this 66 car in the show.
So many drivers talking about the cushion. You would think a former World of Outlaws champion would be the best guy to find the cushion here on the racetrack.
Yeah, I don't know I ever went looking for the cushion on pavement, but that's what Jimmy Johnson said, and he's the fastest man out there, so he found it, obviously. Dave's going to try a little different line here on the second lap.
Still not going to be a lap he's looking for. Actually slowed down almost a tenth of a second.
Again, there are 48 cars here, so 5 will not qualify. 5 will not make the final race of the year. Only 43 will start. So these are the drivers right now that have to get in on time and speed, and the one that is guaranteed in is the 71 car, Bobby Labonte, and a former champion's provisional if he would need it. Right now he doesn't need it because he's quick enough. He's 15th overall. So on the track, the 70 car. This is a second Kevin Buckler on Chevy. This is the team car to Bobby Labonte. And the word is that next year Kevin Buckler is going to want to run 2 cars to try to add some strength to his team. Maybe not every race, but on a limited schedule to try to get added feedback to help the primary car, which is the 71.
And Mike's going to have to gas it up now. He was 47th in practice, so he's going to have to find something here.
And they know that the future, if they're going to be successful in this business, is going to have at least 2 cars. So that's why they want to kind of ease their way into it. So it looks like he's struggling a little bit with this car. Can't get the speed that he needs through the center of the corner.
Mike Skinner, former Rookie of the Year in the NASCAR Sprint Cup Series, also won the inaugural NASCAR Camping World Truck Series title. And right now, Mike is slowest of the 39 cars that have gone out on his first time by 32.
Oh, he's around. He was trying to find that extra little bit of speed. This looked very similar to Reed Sorensen when he got up there and just tapped the wall. Looks like Mike didn't make any contact.
Mike did a great job of saving that car and getting it down across the racetrack, but that will...
Well, he can go back and tell his guys. He said, look, there wasn't any more. I tried to find it. It wasn't there.
Yeah, it looked like he was just really struggling, obviously. Kind of obvious to say this, but struggling with grip. But you could see it on the entry to the corner as he got in. The car was having to literally use up all the racetrack. See right here, he goes into the bottom.
He's chasing it all the way up next to the wall. Now, once he gets up there, there's some dust and dirt up there. You really lose a lot of grip. And around he goes.
Yeah, and you got to get in the gas regardless if you're up there and how close you may be. You're trying to qualify the car.
So some drivers looking for a cushion, and there was no cushion, just concrete there for Mike Skinner, and he keeps the rest of the car out of the wall, but will still be 39th overall in qualifying. Little sun and fun here in South Florida. That's Miami Beach, just about 30 miles north of us here. We are at Homestead-Miami Speedway. On the home stretch for the 2009 season, 36th and final race. We're going to crown a champion. And the guy on the racetrack right now knows what it feels like when you get called champion, because he won it back in 1988. Awesome Bill from Dawsonville. 16-time most popular driver. Trying to hang on. He is a winner, former winner here, a pole winner and a race winner. Back in 2001 in a Dodge, and this is the Wood Brothers Ford he's driving.
Top 10, man. 8th spot for Bill Elliott.
I'd call him in, Eddie Wood.
I would. That's all you need right there.
Best finish of the year for Bill was a 15th at Charlotte. So be his 12th race running in 2009, and word is he's probably going to run a limited schedule again next year. If sponsorship is available for the Wood, they've made the most out of running a limited schedule, these Wood Brothers guys.
Yeah, they have, and I've heard Eddie Wood say that they basically have at least as much sponsorship for next year as what they had this year. So we'll at least see them around that much, and they were thinking that they were on the verge of getting some more sponsorship that would allow them to run a few more races.
Good to see Bill Elliott back. By the way, his son Chase, who's I think 13 years old, is just absolutely tearing up the short tracks in the Southeast. So there's another Elliott on the way.
I've seen him race. He's good.
8th overall for Bill Elliott right now. It is Jimmy Johnson on the provisional pole. Marcos Ambrose, then Mark Martin, Tony Stewart, and Kevin Harvick, the top 5. Well, we told you we interviewed Max Pappas earlier. He looked a little bit pensive because he knows how important it is to be able to make the show in this race. He lives in South Florida. He is the son-in-law of the former Formula One champion and 2-time Indy 500 winner Emerson Fittipaldi. And normally Emo comes out and brings a whole contingent to watch him and root him on. The key is, can Max get it done here to get this car in the show?
He's got to go. He didn't hit that corner like he needed to.
Yeah, a little late getting back to the throttle, and that killed his straightaway speed down the backstretch. Oh, getting close right here.
Yeah, and now he's up there where there's not a lot of grip. This is actually maybe even going to hurt his second lap.
And right now he's the slowest car on the racetrack. That's going to have to qualify 32.042.
He's got to go now, and he's up in the he's in the wall. Yeah.
So bouncing it off the concrete, that will not. He will not
All
be
right, baby, way to go for it. Either way, way to go. Just bring it in. Just bring it in.
Yeah, you can hear the crew guys just saying, "Hey, we see you did everything you could."
Nothing else to get up there against the concrete. The right side of his Toyota pretty much rubbed off the Geico lettering there, trying to do everything he could to get this car in the field. Back in a moment. Sunday will be an historic day here at Homestead-Miami Speedway as we cover the season finale, the Ford 400 for the NASCAR Sprint Cup Series. Could we see the first driver to win 4 consecutive Cup titles, which would be Jimmy Johnson? Could NASCAR have its first ever 50-year-old champion in Mark Martin? Our coverage begins 2:30 Eastern Time on ABC. 1.5 mile oval, banked 18 to 20 degrees. They call it progressive banking. That's why there are so many different options on grooves to run. Here is last year's Rookie of the Year, Regan Smith, out to qualify and got to get his Chevy in the field. Comparing that to right now Bill Elliott, who is the fastest of the cars that have to get in on time and speed.
It's not there, but a pretty good lap. 15th.
Yeah, he's not going to lock in. That'll lock in Bill Elliott, but that's a good lap. That'll be fast enough to make the field.
Yeah, I think definitely. You can see he got a little bit high. He's going to take that one lap.
Barney Visser, by the way, mentioning that this team here would run the full season in 2010. Let's talk to Awesome Bill. Jamie.
You guys talked about how good that run was, 8th on the board right now. What were those 2 laps like for you, Bill?
Very nerve-wracking. I mean, everybody says it in the garage. I mean, to thank the sponsors, Motorcraft, Ford, the Woods Brothers for helping me, still be able to have a place in this sport. David Hyder and all the guys that work on this team. I mean, everybody has just put together a super effort. And, to come into these deals and not run every race, I mean, it says a lot for what the attitude of these guys are every time they come show up at the racetrack. And I mean, we ran good in practice, and then we just had to back it up qualifying. I felt like that I got everything I could get at the point in time I got it. I don't know what I changed to go any better, but we'll just have to get in this show, get going, and then come run Sunday afternoon.
Doesn't matter how many years experience, you still hold your breath when you're a go or go homer, Doc.
That's right.
Bill Elliott is still so appreciative of being here and being a part of this sport. And how about another driver who is a champion, in fact, a 2-time champion that retired a couple of years ago from full-time competition, but now back to run a limited schedule, Texas Terry Labonte. Let's see what he can do in the 08 car.
Well, with his brother Bobby now locked in 17th spot, looks like he'll lock in on his speed. That should shift that champions provisional down to Terry Labonte, and Bill Elliott also locked in.
53-year-old 2-time champion, 5 starts thus far in 2009, driving for John Carter, who's listed as the owner of this 08. Terry's best finish at Homestead when he was running in the Cup on a regular basis was 11th back in 2001.
It looks like this run right here will lock in Regan Smith, and it does. Might sound crazy, but Terry Labonte is locking in Regan Smith.
And let's visit with Regan. Jamie.
And the good news, I'll tell him right now, you are locked in after that run by Terry Labonte. What's it like for you? We just heard from Bill Elliott how nerve-wracking this moment is.
It's very nerve-wracking, especially we were coming off last week and missed the show. We thought we had a really good car there and missed the show, and it was a shocker. And I heard somebody say this week that a setback, which is what we had last week, is a setup for a comeback. So guys did a great job today. Proud of all the guys in the furniture row with Chevy, and I'm still shaking. I'm just happy to be in the show right now.
Good to see in the show go out on a high note. Doc.
Well, you can actually see these guys, even the veterans like Bill Elliott, talking about how hairy it was, and Regan Smith just coming off of his rookie year last year, getting in these cars, DJ, and just hanging on. After you're out of the car, you still shake.
Yeah, I mean, it's a tough lap anyway out here qualifying, but whenever you're there and it's a make-or-break situation for you, and there's no grip out there to be had, you're giving it everything that you've got, and it literally will take your breath away. And then you see just the passion of how much it means to these guys to be in these races.
Joe Nemechek out to try to get his car qualified, the car he owns himself, and put this team together.
Man, he's got a lap going here, too.
Swatting that steering wheel.
He had a little wiggle up there.
He had it going there. Still a pretty decent lap in 27th.
Got to stay in it one more lap, see if he can get more out of it, considering how big that bobble was. He maybe can get a little more this second time by. Going in the wrong direction.
Thing is where a bobble like that's going to hurt both of your laps. It hurts your exit speed there for the first lap, and then you don't have the speed built up for the start of your second lap.
So his first lap will still be the quicker of the two, 31.633 for Joe Nemechek, which right now puts him 27th. Still got 4 cars to go here in qualifying. Of the 48 that are here, Michael McDowell, David Strimmy, Travis Quapple, and Scott Speed yet to go on the racetrack. Here's a 36 car of Michael McDowell going out to try to get this car qualified. Michael, the former open wheel racer, sports car driver out of Arizona. ran for Michael Waltrip a year ago, and this year sort of trying to find rides where he can before he's hoping to be able to get back into the sport full-time in 2010.
He's got a pretty decent lap here. See what he can do in turns 3 and 4. He's going to try the low line right down on the white line.
And he comes by a pretty good lap, 31.499. That's 17th overall, and that locks him into the field. So a good lap for Michael McDowell.
That's an excellent job. That's a fast lap.
The racetrack's definitely getting faster. I think that the track temp coming down is definitely giving it more grip, and so these guys are taking advantage of it.
The only two cars right now that are not going to make it as of right now on Sunday are Mike Skinner in the 70 car in a Chevy, and Max Pappas' Toyota, the 13 car. Here's the 09 car. Last week they had David Gilliland in the car. This is the James Finch owned Chevrolet, and this week it's the 09 is David Stremme, who had been in the Penske Dodge for much of the year, but Brad Keselowski getting in that car enabled Stremme to get back in this car for the finale.
And this is one of the cars that has a seat open for next year, and that's what James Finch is doing. He's putting some of these guys in this seat and see what they can do. This week it's David Stremme's turn to show what he can do.
What's that pressure like?
Look at it right there. That's how much it is.
It locks it down.
Yeah, this is catastrophic for them. I know he has an opportunity to go around here and try to make another lap, but he's chewed these tires up pretty bad there.
Yeah, and I think the right front may possibly already be down.
Yeah, he's just trying to get all you can there, and he's up next to that wall right where that dirty place on the racetrack is, that last foot. Car just goes around on him.
Got it locked up, sliding across the grass. And David Stremme trying his darndest to get that 09 in the field with an audition for 2010. Final few cars to qualify here at Homestead-Miami Speedway. Right now it is Jimmy Johnson and Marcus Ambrose, the top two. Martin Stewart and Harvick in the top 5. The 37 car going on the racetrack. That is Travis Kvapil. Again, some of these drivers auditioning for jobs in 2010. We mentioned that Bob and Brad Jenkins, who own this car, are looking to run 2 cars full-time next year. They'll have it named their full-time drivers as of yet.
See the front end of that car bouncing. Track's a little bit rough down that back straightaway. If these guys tie down the front end as much as they can with shocks, Andy.
You just don't have very much available travel in these COT cars because it's only 4 inches off the ground. And it's, that's hard. It's not a lot of travel. So they have to restrict that with bump stops, and they want to hold that platform all the way around the track. So that's why you see them bouncing around like that a little bit. That first lap will lock him in there. Looks like the crew chief told him. He'll shut it off.
So Kvapil 27th overall. Let's visit with David Gilliland. Jamie.
And he's currently 16th right now, making his 3rd start with Joe Gibbs Racing. So I know you've been a go or go homer, been talking about the nerves, but this is it for you. You have nothing lined up for next year. How important is this weekend for you?
Very, very important. It's, we're talking to some people and working really hard at trying to put something together, but definitely need a job for next year, for sure. So this is awesome. We struggled a little bit in practice, and, Wally Brown and all the guys, made some great changes to our Farm Bureau Insurance Toyota, and awesome, man. This sport and the time of year that it is right now, if I'd have spun out there and not made the race or something, it could have been totally detrimental to my career. And so, and that's a lot of pressure to have on you, when you strap in to go and go in there and, put it all together for one lap. So I'm really, really proud of the guys, proud of what we've been able to accomplish, and really grateful for my opportunity here at Joe Gibbs Racing.
Well, I'm sure there's a lot of people watching you. Congratulations. David Gilliland is in the field, Doc.
Thank you, Jamie. Pretty high stakes coming up on Sunday. These guys that are in the field looking for jobs for 2010. Here's Scott Speed, a rookie driver And Scott qualified on the outside front row here a year ago, ran in the top 5 for much of the evening, had a 16th place finish, and he had a good lap going.
He's making a run at Jimmy Johnson. He's on the outside pole.
P2.
Wow. Man, I say Jimmy Elledge and that crew did a good job getting this car ready to qualify. Scott Speed did a great job driving, too. That was a great lap.
Exactly where he qualified a year ago when he started second. But he's a rookie. Now, having a rookie start alongside Jimmy Johnson, how much more does that add to your concern on Sunday if you're the veteran Johnson?
I don't know.
Yeah. He's okay.
Yeah, I think
Scott Speed understands, too. I mean, he's as a great lap he just made right there, but he also understands the situation on Sunday, and he's not going to do anything that's going to jeopardize himself or Jimmy Johnson there early in that race.
Yeah, and Joe Nemechek got bumped out. He was the last car to get bumped out of the field.
What a great way to finish qualifying with the Scott Speed lap. Now second on the outside of row 1. Marcus Ambrose third, Martin fourth, Tony Stewart fifth. So we have 3 chasers starting in the top 5. And what a lap for the 3-time defending champion, Jimmy Johnson. He knew he had to get a good lap in to be able to go out and possibly beat Mark Martin. And Jimmy Johnson just stood in the throttle and came down and got it done.
Yeah, baby. Yes, 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 yes. Told you. I love you. 3104. Get you some of that. Kiss you on the lips.
Well, it's kissing time down there, Vince, because Jimmy Johnson has gotten it done. 4th pole of the year.
Is it regular that the two of you would be kissing one another during a race weekend?
God, no. And that's why we had this conversation after Talladega. I said it because he put fuel in the car. I don't know why. And then he said it now, and now here we are having this conversation. So I'm happily married. But great effort, obviously. Very proud of what we did today. To be 21st and bounce back. I mean, I knew we were going to be better than 21st, but to blister a lap like that says a lot. And hopefully everybody in store 1111 is going crazy right now.
You've won races from all over the grid, but what kind of confidence does it give you, Chad, the team, when you put the car on the pole in qualifying?
It does give you confidence, but qualifying trim and Friday is so different than what we'll have tomorrow and then moving on into Sunday that we don't want it to. We'll use the momentum for sure, but we don't want to get cocky or too confident in what we did today, because tomorrow's a new day with a new set of challenges. We'll sleep well tonight, which is needed, and show up tomorrow and get to work.
Jamie?
How about Scott Speed or go homer, and he ends up qualifying outside front row? You're starting next to Jimmy Johnson on Sunday. I don't know if that's sunk in yet. I know. How do you handle that situation?
Carefully. No, I mean, I don't know. I think more than anything, it was just a product of being able to go out when the sun was going down. But nonetheless, it's 2 years in a row we're on the outside front row here, so eventually I'm going to want to be on the pole. But anyways, car's pretty good in race trim. Hopefully we can work on it. Obviously, when you start up in the front on a race like this, especially the way the restarts are working now with the lappers having to go to the back, it's a real advantage because you potentially don't go a lap down, you stay on the lead lap all day and get a good result. So we've got to take advantage of it and run good all day on Sunday and come on with a good, strong end of the year, I guess.
Strong end of the year. Scott Speed qualifies second. Doc.
And he said carefully, remember that word that Scott Speed said, how do you handle starting outside a man who is chasing history on Sunday? Jimmy Johnson on the pole. You see Mark Martin will start in 4th position. Look back, Tony Stewart is 5th. Ryan Newman qualifying 7th. See some of the other starters there. And, of course, Carl Edwards, who won this race a year ago, has been awfully good here in the Roush Fenway Ford. 24th, as is Greg Biffle, the 3-time winner, starts in 8th position. Guys, your thoughts about qualifying. Jimmy Johnson, round 1 of the weekend battle is done, and Johnson has won it, starts first on the grid.
A pretty incredible lap by Jimmy Johnson, but I was impressed by where all the cars were running all over the racetrack in qualifying. So what does that mean for Sunday? That means we're going to have great racing all day.
Yeah, and these guys, Jimmy Johnson and Chad Knaus, did exactly what they said all week they wanted to do. That's come here, start up front, where they got a chance to lead some laps early. So far, everything's going their way.
So worried they needed to avoid what happened to them in Texas because of starting back out of the top 10, and they got caught up in an accident, and it cost them a ton of points. Well, that wraps up qualifying. Tomorrow we have the NASCAR Nationwide Series Ford 300 at 4 o'clock Eastern Time. We're going to crown a champion there. Sports Center presented by AutoZone on Sunday, 1 o'clock Eastern Time on ESPN, and then live flag-to-flag coverage of the NASCAR Sprint Cup Series Ford 400 on ABC at 2:30 Eastern Time. Coming up next, 2K Sports Classic benefiting coaches versus cancer. On Sunday, one man chasing history. Can he get it done?